number 3 in my data analyst uh, interview preparation series. So, episode number 3 today, we are looking at ChatGPT again. So, basically, I'm just going to run through this because it's a little hard to sort of go over. It takes quite a lot of time, what I've done here today. But basically, what I've done is I've uploaded my resume again and I've asked ChatGPT, as we can see here on the screen, based on my resume, what personality type am I based on the 16 personality test, which is formerly the Myers-Briggs personality test. And ChatGPT has come back with ENTJ, which is actually the correct answer, my 16 personality test. So straight away, just by my writing, it's able to analyze that resume and pretty much personality sort of profile me just based on that. So extroversion, intuition, thinking, and judging. So the structural implementation of workflows, process optimization, adherence, timelines suggest a preference for order and planning, which is all true. So, and certifications and continuous upskilling also demonstrate a goal-orientated nature, which is all true. So, it's quite interesting to sort of gain an analysis based on your resume to see how you've conveyed yourself and whether it's really you or not. Because I think if the business doesn't like your resume, then and you've conveyed yourself, that's fine because you probably wouldn't have been the right fit for the business anyway. But if you've conveyed yourself the wrong way in your resume, then or you've done it just to try and make a sale for the business, then you might not be happy there long term. So I think this is a good tool to sort of use to refine your resume. And I think it's important not to get AI to write the resume, but I think it's definitely should be used to make improvements on the resume and find areas that you could elaborate on to provide the best possible resume that you possibly can when applying for a role. Okay, so what I did from there next was I moved into this button down here. So I did voice mode. So all these responses here from me are all through voice. So basically, we got in, I asked if we can sort of go through some data analyst interview questions. So I basically got ChatGPT to interview me here. And when I came down here, he said, okay, all right, here's your question. Um, so it goes, can you walk me through how you would clean and pre-process a data set with missing values and inconsistent formatting? And then I gave my response here. So to clean and pre-process a data set with missing values, what I would do is, if it was Excel, I would do the Control H, the find and replace. I would use conditional formatting to find out where the error is within the data set, utilize filtering, find and replace function, and if it and then I sort of said if it was a big data set, then I would also use Power Query to remove columns and rows. Um, so, and then basically, and look at different values to see if there's any errors within the data set. And basically, he sort of gave me a bit of feedback based on that, saying I showed a solid understanding within Excel and Power Query. A lot of his recommendations were around using pandas and in Python, or the pandas library in Python, in addition to SQL, to perform different sort of methods again, so more advanced sort of methods, which he sort of said down here in terms of the enhancements. Strengths, he sort of said, demonstrated good practical knowledge of Excel. And then mentioning Power Query was good as well because it's sort of just handling larger data sets. So he's sort of saying here, he wants me. I can say he. It's an it. AI is an it, but basically, AI said, or ChatGPT said, when I use Power Query, I should give a scenario. I should use more scenario-based examples within my interview-based questions, and put metrics on that and convey more of a story, be a little bit more clear and concise. Don't go into sort of as much detail, sort of pause and then move on, as opposed to just saying all the information at once, which I know I do. And yeah, so it sort of just showed how I could sort of um, a little few improvements there to enhance my response. So basically, I said, that's excellent. Let's move on to the next question. And ChatGPT then said, how would you explain a complex data set or analysis to someone without a technical background? Okay, so this is quite a common data analyst question that you would get in an interview. So basically, I sort of said I would use the form of storytelling within the data set, really utilizing visualizations and trying to draw from the story, from the data, as opposed to using technical, statistical based sort of terms and jargon, may not resonate as much with the audience. And then I would try and speak slowly and concisely while asking the room questions to ensure that the room are actively listening to the presentation while opening the floor up to questions after the presentation, which to sort of keep the audience engaged. The feedback I was given then was sort of to do a simple dashboard in Power BI and refer to a time where I created potentially a sales-based dashboard with some market trends and um, sort of ran through that with the sales team and how I kept it simple, what colors I used, and what storytelling I did. So that comes back to the enhancement again of concrete examples in the BI dashboard. Um, and it also, one of the other pieces of feedback I got was to include analogies when answering this question. So non-technical audiences often grasp ideas better when explained with relatable comparisons. So, you might use, let's just say you're doing a statistical analysis and you're doing, say, something to do with divisions of labor, and you don't really, these guys might be like let's just say they're in more of a blue collar based background. You might say that, um, you don't get the gardener um, to build the fence and lay the bricks and um, you know, one actually a really good example of this is, divisions of labor, as in, you're not going to get a data analyst to do the data scientist work, the data engineers work, or the software engineers work. Um, and relating this back to a non-technical audience would be that the data analyst is the gardener, the data scientist is the botanist, the data engineer is the landscaper, uh, and the, let's just say, person that owns the house is the data governance person. They're making sure everyone's doing their job. So, that's sort of an analogy right there on um, how you could convey something very technical to a non-technical audience. So you've just got to kind of work out what it is that they know. If they know, digging holes, for example, or they know about driving trucks, then you've got to kind of find an analogy based on that resonates with them, that conveys the message that you're trying to convey. So next, we're going to go down to the next question. But before I do that, I'm just going to give one more example. An example I once gave to my pop. I was when I was working at a business that was sort of getting me to do a whole lot of different tasks. They weren't sort of getting me to do one sort of main task. They were kind of, um, you know, yeah, and I sort of, and they weren't really, I wasn't really specializing in anything. I was just having to do a whole lot of different things. And then they got some guy to come and help and support me that had completely different skill set to me. Um, and the way I explained it to my pop is he knew farming. Farming was sort of his thing. So I said to him, look, it's like working on a farm and, being the only person that knows how to drive the tractor a little bit and, you know, getting some new guy on the farm that's never that that has never driven a tractor before to help you drive the tractor and has no experience in planting crops or milking cows, and he has to come out and help you. But they want you to teach him what to do when you're still kind of learn and specialize in that particular area yourself, because you're constantly having to do all this work in other areas. And that can happen in businesses that are running a very lean sort of business model, and they want to sort of get people that can perform a whole lot of tasks within the business. But if what typically happens is if if you've got a person performing too many things at once, you start to see inefficiencies pretty quickly in business, because people don't master one thing. They kind of just get mediocre at best at a whole range of different tasks. So um, that's just another analogy there that of when I've sort of conveyed it to a non-technical audience. Um, okay, so the next one was, can you describe a time when you used data to make a recommendation that positively impacted a project or business decision? So here I talked about I used data to calculate all the different revenue for the businesses, services throughout Australia to forecast future revenue and sales growth, in addition to amalgamating this data that I retrieved externally within the internal data that had been collected by the sales team within Salesforce to determine the amount of market revenue that the business had a hold of. And then I sort of determined a gap analysis to determine the difference between how much the business was making and how much sort of potential revenue was within the market, and looking at that overall base percentage, and what opportunities haven't been seized yet, how much of the market competitors had. And I sort of did this by retrieving multiple external based data sets in addition to the Salesforce data that had been collected internally, to model this out with schemas in to the audience in Power BI. And ChatGPT came back with strengths, demonstrating advanced technical abilities, the gap analysis and identification of market opportunities to show clear business impact and strategic thinking. The use of Salesforce and schemas highlights your proficiency with tools and structured data handling. And then it talks about enhancements. So, I really probably need to implement STAR within the STAR method within my responses. So situation, task, action, and result. And what this is here is it just sort of breaks it all down. Um, so giving a bit of context, explaining the role in the project, focus on the specific steps. I collected external market data, integrated it with Salesforce data sets, and performed a gap analysis using Power BI. And then I'm looking at the result, okay, the outcome. I identified untapped revenue potential to inform leadership of new market strategies. So simplifying language was another sort of tip that I got here. And then it sort of gave me a little bit more feedback there. It's a strong example already. And then I sort of just, after those three questions, I just said, can I please have some feedback on how I've gone so far with answering the interview questions? And do you think that these responses would be adequate in obtaining a data analyst position or even a business intelligence analyst position at a corporate company? And GPT has sort of come back, ChatGPT has come back again, and it's sort of said, you're off to a great start, and your responses show strong potential for securing a data analyst or business intelligence analyst role at a corporate company. Here's an evaluation of how you've performed so far and what could help you shine even brighter. So it's provided me with more feedback again, how I can convey my answers better. And over here, it's got the strengths, so technical proficiency, problem solving focus, presentation skills, enthusiasm, and adaptability. So that's really positive. That gives me a lot of personal confidence on what value I add to a business, I guess. Um, and then we've got down here areas for improvement. Okay, so I just need to give more specific based examples. I need to work on more clarity and conciseness, or being more concise, and then addition with role alignment as well. So with role alignment, it's going to be a little bit different for a business intelligence analyst role, um, because it's more advanced storytelling, and then data analyst roles is more of a focus on statistical analysis, data cleaning, and visualization aspects as well. Okay. Now, the overall assessment from this interview, um, ChatGPT has told me that my responses are well above average and demonstrate a strong foundation for both data analyst and business intelligence analyst roles, with a bit more polish, especially in quantifying results and structuring answers. You could confidently compete for roles at reputable corporate companies. So this is good because it allows you to go, okay, this is where I'm at. This is how I can improve and get to that next level. But the thing I like about this, and sort of speaking into ChatGPT, all you have to do is just press that button here, and you just go straight into it and start talking. And that's how I generated this. As you can see, if I go up, there might be a voice part. Uh, but yeah, so that's if you're getting a non-biased based um, review here, and it takes all the emotion out of it. And I think it's definitely a critical tool in self-development and improvement. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. And if you liked it, hit that subscribe button. Cheers.